Of any of the girls?
Yeah, just in general, we're healthier. We've got a couple of the girls who did not play against Missouri will train today. They've been doing some running and just getting back into it. So they'll train today and tomorrow, hopefully, and depending on how they react, they should be available for Thursday. So we're getting healthier in general, but they still have to practice and come through it without any reaction before we can talk about it.
So
play.
Who's that? Who are some of the girls?
Yeah, we'll leave them off.
Right,
but
okay.
you could probably figure it out by the ones who didn't play against Missouri.
Fair enough.
Okay.
How did you feel like the exhibition went?
Well, considering the personnel issues, we started the game really well. I thought the first 35 minutes we controlled the game without creating too much going to goal. We had a lot of the ball. They were not dangerous. And we moved the ball well. I was really pleasantly surprised. I didn't think we'd be that far ahead. However, we gave up a bad goal from our perspective, something we'd worked on. And, once that goal went in, it kind of changed the momentum, which happens quite a lot in our sport. So, once Missouri got the goal late in the half, and then the second half, it was a lot more even contest. Missouri put us under a little bit more pressure. But having said that, I thought we had our moments where we did well. So, overall, disappointed we lost just because within the moment I was getting competitive and wanted to win. But when you look at the big picture with the players we have coming back and the experience that the team got without them, it's probably not going to be a bad thing for us.
And usually, right now at this point in the fall, you're coming off a break much longer than the summer. You're coming off like a semester break. Any changes to the team because of that, or way you're running practice, or are you feeling that at all?
Not yet. I think if that becomes an issue, it might become an issue later in the season. Because they still did get a pretty good break, and a lot of these kids played soccer in the summer as well for club teams. So, I think right now, no difference from my perspective, but I think you would have to probably look at October, and then you might possibly see something. And then the other thing, though, is would that be because they played more intensely in the spring and more games, or would that be because we're back to a Thursday-Sunday schedule again instead of one game a week? I mean, there's so many different factors. So right now we look pretty good. We're just kind of pushing through, and as we roll into sort of late September, October, that might be something we'd evaluate. Do we tone it down a little bit? Do we cut the practices a little bit? Do we give them an extra day off here and there? We'll just have to play it by ear.
How do you anticipate the weekly schedule going with now that, of course you've worked for most of your career with 2 games, but reverting back to that, how do you anticipate it going just day by day?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. From a coach's standpoint, our substitution pattern changes because it's quite not easy, but it's easier for our kids to play 90 minutes for one game and then have quite a lot of recovery. But when you have to do that twice in a weekend, it's difficult. So you're probably spreading the minutes out a little bit more. So that's where the depth comes in. We have to have more quality players coming off the bench, and that's where some of those reserve players have to step up. So that's one thing. And then the practice schedule changes. We had to adjust last year and figure out what was the right training routine and training tempo to make sure we weren't overtrained or undertrained for the weekend. So we're kind of back into our normal mode, which is Tuesday is a full-on practice, Wednesday's game prep, Thursday game, Friday is recovery, Saturday's game prep again, Sunday game, Monday off, and back into Tuesday. So that's our normal routine. And last year it was kind of difficult for us because we had 2 intense training days because we only had 1 game.
You mentioned the team you've got coming back with 9 starters returning. How familiar is this group?
Well, they're great. I mean, like I said, against Missouri, we were missing at least 3 of those kids. But when they're all out on the field together, and that's the other unfortunate part, it's not just about getting them back. It's about getting them playing and training together, because the first couple of days of preseason when all those kids were on the field, we looked great. It was like, wow, we're ready to roll. And then, of course, a couple got injured and this and that happened. So not only getting them back, but getting them maybe a week or 2 of training together so that they get familiar again with what we're doing. So, but yeah, when that group are healthy and they're all on the field together, we have a chance to be pretty special.
And given how familiar it is, how do you get a team like this to make a jump, to do even better than you did last year, despite the fact that it's largely the same group? Yeah,
I mean, you look for improvement, so certainly I think, Webb and Charmaine and Kim and those 5th-year seniors, what you see is what you get. They've just been there, done that, right? But I think Yokes has room to grow. This will be her 4th season with us, but she has room. Allie Jackson has room to grow. Certainly looking for bigger impact from Megan Haynes, Summer Chafin, Cheyenne McClary, Alex Morris. I mean, all these kids that played some last year, you're hoping to see an improvement from those kids, which they should. And then you're also looking for improvement from the newcomers. Not improvement from them, but improving the squad. So the returners, you're right. What you see is what you get. We'd hope maybe they improve a little bit in just little areas that we can help them with. But yeah, the main improvement hopefully is on our depth and some of those reserve players making jumps, which if we're doing our job and they're working hard, they should.
You've got a handful of fifth-year players. I'm sure that's similar throughout the country. Do you think the overall level of play around the country is going to be better this year because there are so many?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak for the conference, I think, because that's who we're most familiar with. But yeah, to your point, we feel great. We have 4, fifth-year kids back that are all very good players for us. But so does TCU, so does Texas Tech, so does Texas, so does West Virginia. So I think the level within our league is going to be higher than it was last year from that standpoint. So, it's a little misleading. We look better, but you'd probably say most other teams probably do as well.
Yeah. You mentioned newcomers. Do you anticipate any of those freshmen kind of breaking into the lineup?
Yeah, I think so. Logan Hausler's done really well up front in those attacking areas for us. Samaya Fury is coming off. She was injured for the last 7 months, so she's not back to where she needs to be yet, but she's shown little flashes in preseason of what she's capable of. So Anna Hurley has come in and should get some pretty good minutes as well. And then Evie Vitale, the goalkeeper, is in the mix to compete for the spot there. So, yeah, we expect some of those newcomers to help us. But I think it's fair to say that the success or failure of this season will probably be largely on the shoulders of that returning group.
How did you manage the goalies against Missouri, and has anyone separated themselves for Thursday night? Are you ready to make that call?
They haven't separated. Ari was unavailable. So our plan going in was for all of them to play 30 minutes. But Ari was unavailable, so Amber played the first 45 and Evie played the second 45. No, there hasn't been really separation to this point. So, we're looking at them this week in training, and come Thursday, we'll see if Ari's available first and foremost. And if she is, we'll make a call and we'll go with one. It may be a split game. It may be a split Thursday, Sunday. We'll just have to kind of play it by ear. But, there's not a whole lot of experience in that group. Amber's got, I think, 5 or 6 games under her belt. But Ari hasn't played a collegiate game yet, and neither's Evie. So it's kind of hard to judge them until you actually throw them into that situation, So we may have to give them all a taste of it before we can make a decision.
And how does losing maybe that experience or leadership at that spot in particular impact a largely veteran team?
Yeah, I mean, it's not great. It's not ideal, right? But, we do have a lot of experience in front of them. So you rely on Allie and Key and Molly and, Kim and who else? Charmaine and Webb. I mean, that's a lot of experience. So their job is to talk the goalkeepers through that, and you hope that the goalkeepers grow into that role. And, there's only one way to gain experience, and that's to play. So we'll probably end up playing all 3 of them at some point here early in the season, and then, ideally it's kind of like a quarterback position. Ideally, you want one of them to step up and take the job, but if they don't, you may just have to roll week to week and see who's going to give you the best chance to win, really.
Coach, earlier Amber was talking about how she felt, even over the summer with Oklahoma City, high balls is something that she felt she's improved. What have you seen from her as a coach?
Yeah, I think high balls, Ari and Amber especially, they're not the tallest goalkeepers, so that's an ongoing issue. It's something we'll continue to address, and it needs to continue to improve. They're all working hard at it, but they're a little bit limited physically in that area. Evie has a little bit of an edge there because she's a taller kid, but she still has to go make plays. So yeah, it's an area that we've been addressing in preseason, and clearly watching them training and playing, it still needs to be addressed, and it'll probably be ongoing all season. We'll keep working at it.